A new FDA mandated device is quickly spreading to every city in America. It detects dangerous pathogens before they spread and before they lead to major outbreaks that threaten thousands, if not millions of Americans. Outbreaks like E. coli, bird flu, listeria, mad cow, even antibiotic-resistant bacteria known as superbugs. As these epidemics ravage the public, costing billions each year for cities and businesses, a groundbreaking solution has just been developed in a mysterious facility 40 miles east of Silicon Valley. You're looking at the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, a top-secret military site, home to major inventions like Google Earth and the Human Genome Project, where scientists have just pioneered what could prove to be the lab's biggest breakthrough ever. A next-generation device that can stop deadly epidemics in their tracks in just 1 hour. Backed by millions of dollars from the Defense Department, Homeland Security, and the DOE, this device is ushering in a revolution in epidemic prevention, promising to save millions of lives and save businesses billions of dollars. Here it is. It doesn't look like much, but what it can do is nothing short of breathtaking. In a matter of minutes, it tells you how clean your water is, how clean your food is, if and what kind of bacteria is in it, how dangerous it is, and what to do about it. And it does so with undisputed, dead-on accuracy. Nothing else is capable of achieving virtually real-time biometric updates like this. In fact, it's so impressive, so powerful, and so one-of-a-kind that the FDA just mandated the testing this device does into every restaurant supply chain in America. Not just restaurants either. City governments and hospitals, schools, factories, farms and fisheries, supermarkets, vet clinics and warehouses, meat plants and cruise ships, you name it. Everywhere food or water may be at risk of deadly bacteria, where there's a potential public health risk, and where viruses, germs, or pathogens can potentially spread, this device is about to enter guns blazing, thanks to a new FDA mandate. But the best part is, the Pentagon scientist behind this device just handed investors a massive opportunity, perhaps the biggest of 2017 or even the next decade. In order to fulfill the FDA's mandate and to get this device into the public's hands, he founded a tiny company holding all the patents that just went IPO earlier this year. Since then, its share price already jumped 174%. But that's just for starters. Right now, this tiny firm is valued at a mere $20 million. But on November 1st, that will all change. On that day, this device will spread to businesses and cities nationwide, a mandated rollout that will quickly disrupt a $20 billion market in just a matter of months. That's over 1,000 times this firm's value. If it captures even a tiny fraction of this market, its stock would be several times what it's trading for now. And the FDA mandate is putting this device on track to dominate the whole thing. Now, for a brief window, you can buy in for 75 cents. And I do mean brief, because as it quickly spreads to hospitals, restaurants, and factories everywhere, large firms are poised to jump in for a piece of the action, starting a fierce buyout war, one that could drive this company's share price from 75 cents to $5, $25 and beyond, just in 2017. There's no time to waste. Today, I've assembled all the details on this ground floor opportunity, including its company profile, name, and ticker symbol. You'll see a full display of what its patented device can do, how it works, the FDA mandate that will put it into factories, restaurants, and hospitals everywhere, and why $122 may be a very conservative estimate for this company's share price. In short, you'll get everything you need to position yourself immediately for the biggest profit opportunity of the year. But first, allow me to answer one question. How can I have such confidence this tiny company is poised for a lucrative buyout, making investors rich? Because it won't be the first time it happened. In fact, get this. Every single technology to come out of Livermore has made investors a fortune. No exceptions, including chromosome painting, a cancer and chromosome disorder detection device invented at Livermore that's gone on to support a billion-dollar market. Visus recognized this value and licensed the technology, and it was then acquired by Abbott Laboratories for $355 million in 2001. Droplet digital PCR, invented at Livermore for detecting rare cancerous mutations and providing very accurate gene copy number counts. The technology was used to found QuantaLife, which was later purchased for $162 million in 2011. Rapid PCR technology, invented at Livermore to significantly shorten the time for genetic analysis. The technology was used to found Cepheid, which manufactures instruments for rapid detection of infectious diseases and some cancers. Cepheid was recently acquired by Danaher for $4 billion in 2016. And that's just a few examples. Every single time a technology or invention from Livermore goes to the private sector, it creates hundreds of millions or even billions in wealth. That's because in its square-mile campus, it employs 6,000 of the world's best scientists, working on innovations in not just military, but energy, healthcare, and transportation. And now over 100 currently operating companies owe their success to the lab's inventions. Take Google Earth, now patented by Digital Globe, a $2 billion company. Or the Human Genome Project, responsible for the rise of the biotech boom. There's the RDRAM memory chip, now patented by Rambus, a multi-billion-dollar company. One auto safety device is now standard protocol for almost every car in America. It keeps going. There's a crash simulation software that now saves the auto industry $14 billion every year, and a laser technology that saves aerospace makers like Boeing hundreds of millions per year. The list goes on and on. They're all Livermore inventions that have made investors downright filthy rich. Now, all the evidence you'll see here today will point to one thing. This FDA mandated device is the next billion-dollar technology emerging out of Livermore, and investors on the ground floor will once again make fantastic wealth. Again, how can I be so certain about its major wealth potential? Because the Pentagon scientist behind it has done it before, with multiple life-saving technologies under his belt. One of them is an anthrax detection device backed by Homeland Security. Another is a plague detection device backed by the Defense Department. Then there's a flu detection device backed by the National Institutes of Health. In fact, this scientist invented the ddPCR technology that detects rare cancerous mutations, the one bought out for $162 million. Devices that save lives, prevent outbreaks, stop terror attacks. Those are the sorts of inventions this scientist is famous for. But this one device is set to be even bigger, exponentially bigger. You see, his last three inventions were new versions of the exact same technology. Now, this scientist has invented the next generation of this device. And while his first three versions are being used by government to stop crises, thanks to the FDA's mandate, this fourth generation device will instead disrupt a $20 billion consumer market, making investors who buy in immediately on the ground floor fantastically rich. To get you started, I'll share with you the name of the 75-cent company with all the patents on it. But first, allow me to answer something that you might be wondering. What is this FDA mandate? Why will this device soon be everywhere because of it? And could it really take over a $20 billion market? Let me explain. Previously, companies were only made to respond to outbreaks like E. coli. They only had to clean up outbreaks. But due to a new congressional bill, known as the Food Safety Modernization Act, companies must take serious measures to prevent them from ever happening. This bill includes 3 times more frequent FDA inspections, required records for all testing results, inspection of foreign food supplies, just to name a few things. The FDA is implementing these rules from now to the end of 2018, a regulatory blitzkrieg that will force the food industry to dramatically overhaul its practices. And not just the food industry. Cities, factories, meat processing, fisheries, cruise lines, school cafeterias. The list goes on and on. The problem is, most of these companies haven't started preparing for the FDA's new rules. The technology is simply not yet available to uphold them, much less at a reasonable cost. Fortunately, one little device that I've shared with you today will allow the food industry to do just that, and without spending an arm and a leg. In fact, even without the FDA mandate, businesses would scramble to get their hands on it. Don't believe me? Take Chipotle, which lost $6 billion in value from E. coli and other food outbreaks. It could have saved all of this money with a device that costs less than $100,000. That's just 0.00006% of the money lost by shareholders, including their execs. In other words, they could have saved $60,000 for every dollar they spent on this device. And that's just one example. Outbreaks are wreaking havoc on companies like Nestle, General Mills, Costco, Trader Joe's, and Archer Daniels Midland. All told, the food industry loses $55 billion every single year from pathogen epidemics. When you consider this sort of cash, the price tag for this device is beyond a no-brainer. In fact, the money it could save is just one part of the equation. Just think, it could save brands from losing their reputations over embarrassing food recalls. It could save 48 million Americans from illness, even death, due to pathogens in food or water. It could save workers from massive job losses when companies lose billions. Bottom line, this is a technology that saves lives, jobs, and companies. Can you see why the FDA mandated this technology? Why companies would pay a fortune for this device, even without the mandate? And why investors who buy in now, before it spreads to every major restaurant in America, will see historic fortunes starting November 1st? It's gearing up for the disruption of the $20 billion market that already exists for safety testing. Food, water, fisheries, vet clinics. These are just some of the biggest markets it's entering. Markets that spend to the tune of $20 billion per year on safety testing. But what's the upside potential for you? That's roughly $1 billion in sales per year. Given an average industry price-to-sales ratio of 5.8 and factor in a total share count of 49 million, the share price would be fairly valued at $122. And remember, that's just a tiny 5% of this entire market. With the FDA mandate, it could dominate the entire industry without question. In short, the upside potential is virtually unlimited. But you might be wondering, how does this device work? Let me explain. Here's the device. It's designed so even a novice could use it. It couldn't be easier. Simply load the cartridge with the sample substance, be it food, water, or otherwise, press go, and it will automatically process the results, scanning for no less than 22 different pathogens. Or, if you choose, customize the test for one of several things you're looking for. Within 1 hour, a full report is generated on the pathogen levels and their exact amounts. It also auto-analyzes the results, detecting the threat levels with stunning accuracy. This is work normally done by molecular biologists, and anyone can use it, no training needed. At an industrial poultry farm, a worker could test a sample of water that all the chickens drink from, and the machine will report in less than 1 hour if there's any strain of bird flu. The same goes for produce. At a central warehouse, where lettuce and other vegetables are washed and prepped for shipping, this device can be used to analyze runoff water from the washing, detecting E. coli, listeria, and more, and it gets these results in under 1 hour. And it's incredibly cheap in industrial device terms, less than $115,000. In fact, the cost of food safety testing nowadays runs companies up to 300 times that much. How can the company sell it for so little and still make a lot of money? Simple. It's the razor blade model. Each time a test is done, a new cartridge is needed. They're one of a kind, they're disposable, and the company charges $55 each time. But it makes it for around $1.50, giving it incredible margins over 95%. With this device, a single company may run hundreds of tests each year, year after year. With hundreds of thousands of companies running this many tests, it's a massive flood of revenue that will never run out, and it's over 95% profit margin. That all sounds great, but how can we be sure it really works? Simple. The world's top engineering firm built this device. While it was developed at the National Military Laboratory, it's been built by the top minds at Boston Engineering. With a staff of over 70 engineers, they've created technology for the likes of Fortune 50 companies, including Pepsi, the largest medical device companies in the world, including 3M, and government departments like Homeland Security, the Navy, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. In short, when the big boys want a technology to be built, when they want to make sure their device is free from defects and runs like clockwork, they go to Boston Engineering. Also remember, this is not the first, second, or third go-around for this device. It's the fourth. The U.S. government spent over $20 million developing this technology. The first versions are now being used by Uncle Sam to stop terrorist attacks, prevent outbreaks, and more. One of them monitors air quality in New York's Penn Station, detecting bioterror threats. They've also made investors incredibly rich, with massive, multi-million-dollar buyouts. The same scientist who holds all the patents is now behind this version too. And now, with the tiny company he founded, you can buy into its $20 billion market opportunity for under $1, but only if you act immediately. To get you started, I'll share with you all the details you need in just one moment. Before I do, let me be clear. This Pentagon scientist is not the only heavy hitter with a track record of minting millionaires. This entire company is staffed with military insiders, guys who've turned tiny companies into billion-dollar acquisitions. Some even specialize in technology that stops epidemic outbreaks. It's a dream team unlike any other I've seen in a company. The company's president has a legendary track record. Before joining this company, he was a senior advisor at Canaccord, where he raised capital for new companies, mostly medical device startups. He was VP of R&D Resources, where he won a major capital fusion from Goldcorp, the world's second largest gold miner. And he was also a consultant to Cadence Resources, which was bought out by Agnico Eagle for $205 million. But that's just for starters. Just take a look at this incredible management team, including a retired lieutenant colonel, microbiologist, and director of the Air Force's largest infectious disease testing program, the director of the BioWatch program at the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, who's chaired proposal reviews at the CDC and National Institutes of Health, an executive at the billion-dollar medical device company Boston Scientific Corporation, and founder of 2 successful medical device startups. Dream teams at companies like this are once in a lifetime. We may never see a pairing of great minds, insiders, and experts like this again. This is how you make a fortune in tiny companies like this. Follow the management. While I can't say for sure how high shares will ultimately go, I can say with 100% confidence that the 75 cents they're currently trading at is incredibly cheap. Remember, November 1st is when this rollout begins, but you won't want to wait until then. Already, shares have surged 174% since this company IPO'd in March. At this rate, it could get into the thousands of percent range. Even before November, explosive gains from companies in multiple sectors, such as 1,667% on Lithium X, 530% on K92 Mining, 619% on Brazil Resources, and many other triple-digit winners like those you're seeing now. In case you think I'm cherry-picking these winners, every single play in my junior miner portfolio is currently up double and triple digits. The average gain is 118%. Check it out. In fact, off of just one of my recommendations, you could make the type of money that could change your portfolio, or even your life. How do I know? It's already happened. One guy, by the name of Dan Leopold, wrote to me about one of my recent recommendations.
I made over $100,000 with you on the first run a year or so ago.
I've had to redact the stock name there because it's an active play that's still making people money, and it wouldn't be fair to those currently holding positions. Donald McMillan shared his story too.
I did very well on 2 picks. Pretty lucky with a profit of $27,649.
And Anthony Raymond recently wrote me to say,
"This is the most profitable service in almost 10 years of trading. Pure and simple. 3 picks have been triple-digit winners for me. As a friend of mine who speaks broken English would say, thank you very big."
But my favorite is from Tom Donaldson, who made nearly $500,000 on a single trade.
Nick, my account is now over $450,000. Happy with the gain so far. Thanks.
So as you can see, I continually provide the potential for huge gains. And I can tell you this, it takes a lot of hard work and boots on the ground research to maintain the success I've experienced.